Welcome to the Audio Inc. Radio podcast, featuring interviews with the biggest names in rock and metal, hosted by Anne Erickson.
Get inked. Visit Facebook.com/Audio Inc. Radio, Twitter.com/Audio Inc. Radio, and AudioIncRadio.com for more ink. Whew, that's a lot of ink. It's AudioIncRadio.com.
When I first heard that Mark Tremonti of Creed and Alter Bridge was releasing a Christmas record, I kind of thought maybe it'd be like a rocked out record like Twisted Sisters, A Twisted Christmas. I thought maybe he's going to keep with that vibe, but instead, I love it. He went totally traditional on this new record. It's called Christmas Classics New and Old. Let me tell you, Mark's voice sounds amazing on here. He always sounds really great when he fronts Tremonti and does vocals and stuff like that. Sometimes he'll do a guest vocal on an Alter Bridge track, but something about this, his voice just perfectly fits that traditional Christmas vibe. And I feel like this is a record that literally everyone would love, from your family, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandpa, kids, hipster, whatever. I feel like it's a record that definitely appeals to all. And very excited to have Mark Tremonti back on the show. He's one of my favorites to interview, just an awesome guy, very down to earth, and got a lot to talk about with the holiday record. And you know it, the Creed reunion is happening. It's a thing. They're going to be on tour a bunch next year, and we're going to talk about that and much more. It's Anne Erickson, and you're on Audio Inc. As always, it's great to be here with you. It's Anne Erickson, and if you have not subscribed to my podcast yet, disappointed, shame on you. You're in trouble with me. Do it right now. It's free and it's fun, I promise. Just search Anne Erickson on Audio Inc. wherever you listen to podcasts. Hit subscribe and you'll be instantly notified of the next show featuring the biggest names in rock and metal music. Get in touch with me. Don't be shy. You can head to my website, itsmeanne.com. That's itsmeanne.com. itsmeanne.com to get in touch. And check out my Patreon. I've got a bunch of goodies up there if you want to hang out. Check out my private Patreon, all of that stuff. And finally, I actually have a new holiday track out called Christmas with You. Just search Anne Erickson, Christmas with You, wherever you listen to music, and it's an original track. So lots of Christmas fun on the show, and I wish you and yours an amazing holiday. All right, let's get into it. The one and only Mark Tremonti.
How you doing? This is Mark Tremonti, and you're listening to Audio Inc. with Anne Erickson.
Well, Mark, it's always so great to have you on the show. How are you? And happy holidays, all that good stuff.
Happy holidays. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I know. It's great. You, of course, have a new Christmas album out, which is so good, by the way. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was a lot of fun. It was probably some of the most fun I've ever had in the studio.
Wow. No, I can tell. You can just listening to it. It sounds like you had a great time doing it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. Have you always loved Christmas?
Yeah. I mean, it's some of my best memories in life. And, I'm lucky enough to, I've got two boys that don't believe in Santa Claus anymore. So I'm lucky enough to have a brand new baby girl that I can relive my Christmas spirit with.
So what is your favorite Christmas memory, both as an adult and a child?
As a child, it's being at my grandmother's house when me and all my cousins would play hide and seek through the house and go into the creepy basement and get our presents and listen to Christmas music, play on the piano. And but as an adult, gosh, I don't know, just every Christmas morning, probably going up to Chicago where we spend the Christmas with my brothers. And I remember it's happened so many times that there's been no snow, but then on Christmas Eve it snows, so my kids get to see snow for, they live in Florida, so they don't get to see it much.
Yeah, we were there last Christmas because I'm in the Midwest, Detroit area, and we got a lot of snow on Christmas Eve last year, just the whole Midwest.
Yeah, isn't that funny how that happens?
Yeah, and so I know Chicago got it. I'm sure they got to see a lot of it.
Absolutely.
So what is your all-time favorite Christmas song?
I would say The First Noel.
Why do you go with that one?
It's just such an emotional song. I love it. It's, us guys who write songs in the rock world like to write these. I know in Alter Bridge, we like to write these big epic songs and tell the big story, but there's nothing more epic than those big churchy, First Noels, Oh Holy Nights with the choirs and the symphonies. I think those were the most epic songs ever.
I think you're right. There's something that's just so special about this kind of songs. And I do think that they somehow appeal to everyone. They just make everyone feel good.
Absolutely. I think that goes, same with the big band jazz stuff of the 40s and 50s and, the Sinatra style music. I think it's just kind of universal.
That's cool. And obviously you've done a Sinatra record. So it's kind of, it all comes together.
Absolutely. And I love it. I wish I could do 100 shows a year, but it's something I can just do every now and then.
So what inspired you to do a Christmas album, and how long were you thinking about it before you were like, I'm just going to do it?
I've always loved singing Christmas music, and that's really how I got into the Sinatra thing. I would be at Christmas parties and whatnot, singing karaoke Christmas songs. And I was like, it feels really good to sing these songs. It suits my voice well. And I feel like I can sing that stuff better than the rock and roll stuff. And when I did the Sinatra album, I saw a bunch of comments like, hey, you should do a Christmas album. And it's like, you know what? I should do a Christmas album. So that's, the people who had heard the Sinatra record kind of gave me the idea.
That's neat. So it's kind of almost like the fans who heard that record and said that you took it into consideration and you did it.
Absolutely. Because it's, like you said, I love Christmas music. So it was, and any excuse I have to get back with the guys that I recorded that album with, I partnered back up with 17 of the same musicians that I did the Sinatra record with. And then we partnered up with, 23 stringed instruments and a choir and a percussion day. It was a lot of fun.
Wow, that's amazing. And it's funny because you mentioned that you think you actually, I don't know if you said you like or you're better at singing the more traditional Christmas or Sinatra type stuff than regular rock music, which of course I love your stuff in Tremonti. It sounds great. But when I heard this record, the Christmas one, I did think, wow, like he sounds extra good singing this.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, I feel way more like it suits my voice way more to do that kind of stuff than the hard rock stuff. That's why I only started singing professionally in the rock thing. Gosh, it's probably been 10 years now, but I've been a professional musician now for almost 30. So it's, it's something that I've had to work on, and I still don't love my voice for rock, but I do enjoy my voice for this kind of stuff.
I have a little secret for you. No one likes their voice. You know what I mean? Like even like the best singers in the world, they'll listen. I don't know if that was that great. So
Miles is like that all the time. Miles, he thinks his voice is, he makes fun of it all the time.
It's so crazy. Yeah, that's really funny. But no, you do sound amazing on this. And did you know going into the record that you wanted a more traditional sounding Christmas record? Because I think that when people first heard you did this, some thought, oh, it was going to be like a super rocked out, like the Twisted Sister holiday album or something, like a rocked out version, but it was very traditional.
Yeah, no, I wanted to make it sound like it was recorded back in the 40s or 50s, just with better production. I'd make it sound like it's something that, like when I wrote the original song, I wanted it to sound like it was written back with the songs that we heard growing up.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. When did you record this?
I recorded in April. So it was, we set up the studio with the fireplace and the Christmas trees and all that stuff. And it was April. So it was kind of trippy. But, it was funny, even though it was April in Chicago, it was snowing.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
So it was perfect.
That is funny. But how did you get into the holiday spirit? You mentioned the fireplace and snow, but I feel like in April, I don't know. It would be very hard for me to feel festive.
Just getting in that zone, getting in that room with those musicians and hearing the songs, because I had been practicing these songs around the clock. So actually getting in the studio was so exciting, and putting the suit on and starting the fire, and it really helped. It was the toughest thing was finishing the record and being so excited about it, and then having to wait so long to release it. And this has been the toughest album project ever in my career to be able to say, to give previews of and to promote, because nobody cares at all about Christmas until the end of November. So it's been a hard ticket to sell, but now that it's getting close to Christmas, hopefully people are more open-minded to it.
Yeah, definitely. I noticed that a lot of the big names every year when they release Christmas stuff, they do it pretty early, and yours was out in October, right?
Yeah, right after Halloween, we announced it and released it.
Yeah. And Cher, she's another big one who had a Christmas record this year. She did it back in October too. So, but definitely I know what you mean, that a lot of people just aren't quite ready yet. So it's like it comes out and then there's this kind of lull before people start going, oh, I really want to hear this. It's Christmas time.
Yeah, people get weird about it. Like my brother, He was like, I'll listen to it once, but I cannot listen to Christmas music. Creeps me out if it's not Christmas.
That's funny. He keeps it real.
Yeah.
That is true. I released a little Christmas song too, and I released it kind of early. And I had the same thing. My friends and stuff are like, I will listen once just for you to get that Spotify click, and then I'm not going to listen again until December.
Absolutely. I understand. I'm kind of the same way. But, except for this year, because I was researching all the different versions of these songs before I recorded them, and so now I'm Christmas year round.
Well, was it more difficult covering Christmas classics or doing an original?
Well, doing the original was a huge challenge just because it's I think the toughest part of it was writing the lyrics. You want to write lyrics that are timeless and not too corny. It's tough to write a modern Christmas song that sounds classic and that doesn't have corny lyrics to it. And I had written the first verse and I was like, all right, everything here seems good. Maybe I'll just repeat those lyrics and not write any new ones. I'm like, don't be lazy. So I wrote the second verse, and but at the same time, a Christmas song I think should be easy and should be a little bit repetitive. And at the base of the song is really only two parts, the verses and that bridge section. So it was a pretty straightforward tune. And then I can just get on the phone with Carrie Deadman, who does the arrangements, and sing to him the melodies. And we just went over the chord structures and the transitions. And it took a minute, but, like Oh Holy Night was probably the toughest song for me to sing.
That is a difficult song. It's very epic.
Yeah, and it's not the things that most people would think that are difficult. It's the lower stuff. It's the phrasing of and some of the lyrics and some of the phrasing is kind of weird in these songs. If you sing along to, like, say, the first Noel, and you don't realize they say they look it up. It's like they looked up, but they sing it, they look it up. So sometimes it just phrases a little weird, and it took a little bit of getting used to.
Yeah, no, it's like old English and something we're not familiar with.
Yeah.
So on the original holiday track, which I love, tell me kind of about the inspiration behind it. And I think cheesy is good, by the way. So I think with Christmas, it should be a little cheesy.
Yeah, I wanted this to be, like I said, traditional and old school. I wanted it to, I wanted the video to be the claymation style that I loved. My favorite movie growing up was The Year Without a Santa Claus. And then I loved all the Frosty the Snowman and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer movies with all the claymation, and I wanted to recreate that for this. And I think it's hilarious, that video. The way my family looks in that video, it just cracks me up. My screenshot when my wife calls me is of her in the video with her big fingers, and she just looks she looks pretty funny in the video. So it's I think I laughed until I cried when I saw that. But I loved it. I wasn't even trying to write a Christmas song when I was practicing the Sinatra thing. I was like, let me try my hand at trying to write a big band jazz song. And I started just singing a cappella, trying to create melodies and whatnot. And that song just kind of came to be that way.
Yeah. And what did you mention was your favorite Christmas movie?
Well, the Year Without a Santa Claus growing up was my favorite.
Okay.
And I think modern day movies, I would say Elf.
Oh my gosh, everyone loves Elf. Do you get sucked into the Hallmark type Christmas movies?
Totally. My wife and kids watch them all the time, so I'll sit down and watch them with them. And it's just feel good stuff, wholesome feel good movies you watch with the family that they're all super predictable and fun, but it's just a holiday tradition now for us. And what's funny is when we put the Creed cruise on sale, it sold so well that the 6-man group, the people that run the cruise, had said the only other cruise that has sold the amount in the amount of time that this cruise has been on sale is the Hallmark cruise. I was like, what? The Hallmark TV? Wow, I couldn't imagine what goes on a Hallmark cruise.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know there was one. It must be like some of the stars from the Christmas movies are on there or something.
Doing skits and I don't know, acting parts. I'm not sure, but you might Yeah, you might see me on the Hallmark cruise singing Christmas songs.
I was going to say you're in good company if you're in there with, yeah. And I get sucked into, I think everyone does. It's like at first, I'll never forget. I think it was my mom who was like, oh, I found this channel that plays these movies all the time, just 24/7, these modern Christmas movies. And I was like, that's not my thing. And one was on one day and I've never stopped. That was years ago. And now it's like every time the Christmas movies come on those channels, I just have it on always.
Oh yeah, it's just good feel good movies.
Yeah, definitely. We mentioned the Creed reunion, which is so exciting. Of course, everyone's freaking out about this. I'm wondering, like, what made the time right to do this now?
Me and Scott spoke before COVID happened. We had done a few shiprocks with Alter Bridge and Tremonti, and I always enjoyed them. And I thought it would be a great idea to do our own cruise at some point. And when I was speaking to my manager, I was like, I think a Creed cruise would be something that would really work. And at the time, our agent had already been doing the Paramore, I think it's called Parahoy cruise, and they always had a lot of fun with it. So I said it would be kind of a great reintroduction for Creed to do that, because it's just kind of a soft landing back into the world. And it just made sense. And when it came out and it did so well, it made us really kind of reevaluate what we're going to do for the rest of the year. And that's when we announced the tour. And everything just kind of, the funny thing is everything just kind of happened naturally all at once with all the hype through all the people, the Rangers playing the music and the Vikings playing the music. And just the other night, my kids showed me a clip of the Green Bay Packers playing higher at the stadium. And it just seems like it's just a great coincidence that, that Creed's kind of coming back into the fold and popular culture, which has been great for us since we just timed the tour at the same time.
Oh, I know. It's so wonderful. And what did it feel like when your music was featured with the NFL, and how does that, I mean, I know I've interviewed you a bunch. I think that you're a football fan, right?
Yeah. Especially with my kids are huge sports fans, through their whole childhood, I've been trying to get them to be music fans, but their generation just doesn't seem like the same that we were with putting posters on our walls and going to concerts and buying every tape and CD we could get our hands on. They're kind of more, music is cool. They hear it in their video games and whatnot, but they're not, obsessed about like we were, it seems like. So when they get to see dad's music in their football games and their video games and all that stuff, that makes me the cool dad. And I get to take them, I got to take them to the Rangers game, and they got to go into the entrance where the players go in, and the skybox with the Dude Perfect guys were in there. So, it's just cool to have them see that, because at home I'm just normal dad, and they don't really, get to see the exciting stuff. So it's great that they get to do that with the sports.
That is so cool. I'm a big Lions fan, and I know that you're originally from here. So
me too. And man, the Lions are kicking ass this year.
It's so great. It's like the best thing ever.
Yeah, that's by far my favorite team. Tigers and Lions are my two. Well, Tigers, Lions, and Bulls, because I lived in both Chicago and Detroit. But for some reason, I'm a big Bulls. Well, because I lived in Chicago when Jordan and Pippen and Rod were killing it. I lived in Chicago for the 85 Bears. I lived in Detroit for the 84 Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
So Tigers and Lions and Bulls. Those are my teams. That's
so exciting. I love that, because everyone is so into the Lions right now, and to think that they are your team, that's just extra cool.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So it's great to see them finally turning around and having a great season.
Yeah. Do you think that they have a chance to go all the way this year, or do you think it might take a little time?
They definitely have a chance, everybody, but at this point, I think there's a lot of teams that they'd have to compete against, but I'm hopeful. It's exciting because it's been a while since we've been hopeful about it.
Totally, 100%. When it comes to the Creed reunion, you kind of mentioned that you did the cruise first, and then that kind of inspired you guys to want to do a whole run, and seeing how well that did. Yeah,
we had no idea what to expect when we put the cruise on sale. When it sold so well, we felt good about announcing a tour, and we put together 40 dates. So it's a big tour. I think it goes from the middle of July to the middle of September, and then we're going to plan from there and see what the next steps are. And I'm sure there'll be some announcements coming soon for what the next step is.
Well, I was going to ask, do you see yourself doing new music with Creed?
I'm not sure. if we would have known this was going to do so well, we would have planned ahead of time and done new music beforehand. But you know, from an outsider looking in, sometimes people are like, yeah, just put out new music. But we'd have to record it 9 months ago to have it be ready now, kind of for the tour. If we started writing music now, it would take us, you know, months and months and months to write it, and then months to record it, and then 6 months of setting it up. And by then it's time for us to start Alter Bridge. So it's kind of a difficult thing. Maybe, you know, if there was a song or two or an EP, you know, it would be easier. But, and I also go in the studio in February with Tremonti, and Scott's staff is just releasing a solo record. So it's kind of it's a tough thing.
So maybe not now, but you guys aren't close to the idea?
No, I mean, I still, when I'm writing songs and I go over ideas, I'm like, wow, that would be a great Creed song. And I kind of hold it aside for the day that happens. So it's definitely, you know, a lot of times when I'll write a song that I put on a Tremonti record, I'll be like, that would have been a great Creed song. And it turns into a song that people like, but they just kind of get forgotten. You know, some of the ballads on the Tremonti records, you know, the diehard Tremonti fans love them, but I think they would have been bigger Creed songs, some of them.
Well, Creed was my gateway band into one of the first rock bands I ever heard. So you guys like turned me on to a whole new world.
Great. That's perfect. Well, hopefully you can come see the tour.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It'll be Pine Knob will be my stop.
Oh yeah. That's awesome. That's great.
Well, Mark, as always, it's been a lot of fun, and congrats on the new holiday record. I love it. It's just amazing. Cannot wait to hear what's next and see you guys on the road with Creed.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
I love it. Mark Tremonti is a Lions fan. That's pretty much the biggest thing that I got out of that awesome conversation, because you know that I'm a huge Lions fan. I've got my own Lions podcast, NFL podcast, and big into the NFL and the Lions. And it's cool. That totally made my day. Mark Tremonti, a Detroit Lions fan, which he is from the area, so I'm not totally surprised. But it's cool that he's stuck with it all these years, even with all the downs, I guess, and with the different places that he's lived. But also check out his new Christmas record, Christmas Classics New and Old, which is available now. It's awesome. I tell you, it's just very traditional sounding. He's got this beautiful like baritone voice that sounds so good. It makes you feel like you're just hanging out on Christmas morning with a cup of hot cocoa and a candy cane and all that fun stuff. But awesome. Thanks again, Mark, for being on the show. You're welcome back anytime. And hey, thank you for being here. Thanks for a great year right here on my podcast. You're awesome, and I cannot wait to rock it with you next year. I want to wish you and yours an amazing Christmas and Happy New Year. And yeah, just it means so much to me that you hang out with me here on the show, and that we can be friends and talk about music, talk to these great rock stars. I don't know. It's just great. So it makes me very happy. Thank you. And I'm feeling very festive. I've actually got a Santa hat on over my headphones. So this is kind of the Christmas special, I guess you could say, of the show. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Just search Anne Erickson on Audio Inc. wherever you listen to podcasts. Hit subscribe, and it's that easy. Try to make it as easy as possible for you. Find me online. You can find me on Twitter or X and Snapchat at Anne Erickson, Instagram and TikTok at Erickson Ann, and just search Anne Erickson on Facebook and my page will pop up. And let's see what else. I feel like there's more business. Patreon, check out my private Patreon, and you'll have access to my private page and more goodies. So you'll find the link in the show description. It's patreon.com/Ann Autumn. Finally, check out my original Christmas tune called Christmas With You wherever you listen to music. Just search Anne Autumn Erickson Christmas With You and it will pop up, or you can just head to uponwings.com and check out my band Upon Wings as well, which is more the heavy metal stuff. All right, as always, it's been awesome. You rock. If no one has told you lately, you are amazing. You rock. Until next time, be safe, God bless, and we'll rock soon. It's Anne Erickson on Audio Inc. Radio.
It's Audio Inc. with Anne.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Audio Inc. Radio podcast. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. Get inked online at audioinkradio.com. I'm Anne Erickson for the Audio Inc. Radio podcast.